Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Supah Sobah Sports. As you can probably notice today, one of our main guys is not here. Matt Don, Bubba Don. He texted me the other day, and he was all thrilled and excited. He's like, "Oh, I'm so pumped to come on the show and all this and yada yada yada." And then he sends another text and he's like, "I'm not feeling too hot and all this, whatever." And I think personally, he's probably just a little hungover. Like, who knows? And then, today's also our second trial. We tried last night with recording the Zoom, and it was only giving me my audio because you can't record multiple audios on the screen recording. And so he had another chance to come on today, and it's 12:30, and no one's heard from him. So who knows what's going on?
He's scared to talk UFC. He was supposed to be the UFC guy. We have a UFC segment. I don't think he really knows what he's talking about. And he doesn't want any of this work.
Yeah, what the hell's going on? Anyways, how are you guys doing today? You guys doing pretty good?
Reminds me of a good friend, Joe Coop, missing in action.
Oh, yeah, true.
Ghosted. What can you do?
Yeah, and he's been gone for weeks. No one's seen him. He went to school at Westfield, and he's like, "Hey, I'm just going to go more west. Might as well go to Pittsfield." And
I don't know what's going on over there. Supposedly, maybe the virus isn't out that far. It doesn't want anything to do with Western Mass, so he's locked himself down there. But, hey, the boys are all here that need to be here, and we're ready to get after it.
Yeah, he's out in the boonies. Might be easy to get a state police job out in Western Mass. But, hey, who knows?
Quarantine.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got some breaking news, actually, that dropped late last night, or in the middle of the night. We have Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady are going to be playing a match against Peyton Manning and Tiger Woods. It's not confirmed yet. They're still working out all the details and everything, but obviously Tiger and Phil had that match on Thanksgiving, I believe it was last year, and the pay-per-view event, or the year before. And all the proceeds and all the earnings and everything are going to go towards the coronavirus. What do you guys think about this?
There's obviously no other sports to look forward to right now. I don't know the details, like you said, haven't been worked out yet because obviously they have to abide by all the laws as well. But it's something to look forward to, and it's for a good cause. And it's for guys that I think will make people put the TV on. So it should be a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 big names, and like you said, something to look forward to during these times. We haven't really had anything to watch, but my take on this is whatever team Tom Brady is on, he will beat Peyton Manning like he has his whole career. I think that continues on the golf course.
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I think Brady and Peyton are both around like 6 handicaps, so it should be pretty solid golf as well, too. Plus, it'll give some people some stuff to bet on. They're going to be betting themselves on the course, probably making a little side bets like they did last time. And But yeah, like Phil did well in this competition last year. He's once the money gets on the line, he gets after it. But also some breaking news came out is the Patriots released Cody Kessler, who's going to be their third string quarterback. With that being said, the Patriots now, do you think they're going to go in the season with 2 quarterbacks? Probably not. They're probably going to draft someone, or maybe they're going to pick someone else up. Who knows? But so that leads us into our first topic here. For potential quarterbacks for the Patriots in 2020 and 2021. We'll start with 2020. And obviously the first kid we're going to talk about here is Stid the Kid, Jarrett Stidham. What do you guys think about Jarrett Stidham?
I'm on board for Stidham. I think he's quite a different player than Brady, but he's shown signs of greatness, at least being an applicable QB at least. But he's got a good head on his shoulders, I think, which is a big factor as training QB, but specifically for the Patriots. So, I think it's the best option for us right now, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's looked really good in the preseason. Struggled a little bit in the regular season, but it was garbage time. Can't really get good judgment off of his regular season time, but he did look good in the preseason. I'm willing to give Jarrett Stidham a shot and see what he can do.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lardy. He definitely, in the preseason, he completed a high percentage of passes, had some touchdowns, and didn't really have any turnovers, which is big for Bill. Everything about him seems pretty good. He's got good size. He's pretty athletic. I think if Belichick and McDaniels are as good as they're supposed to be, I don't see why he couldn't work. It doesn't hurt to try for a year, or whatever it's going to be. Next potential quarterback we're going to talk about here is Brian Hoyer, who the Patriots just re-signed for about the third or fourth time. I mean, this guy feels like he just gets picked up and dropped by the Pats all the time. Lardy, what do you think about Brian Hoyer?
I mean, I like the signing just from a leadership standpoint. I mean, the guy's been a journeyman in the NFL. He knows what it's like to stick around. So maybe he can, guide Jared Stidham through some ups and downs. But I don't see Brian Hoyer being the starting quarterback, and I don't know why we would want Brian Hoyer to be the starting quarterback. I just don't see that making any sense. I think if Jared Stidham's our guy for the future, let him take his bumps and bruises this year. Not a lot of pressure on him, and just let him go out there and swing it, see what he can do.
Yeah, I think Lardy hit it right on the nail. I think the only reason we're signing him is because he knows the offense. I don't think there's any intention of starting him. Maybe a little bit of intention to make it more competitive. But I think he's just going to be a leader, like Lardy said. And hopefully he can teach Stidham the offense. Stidham seems like he knows what he's doing. Those guys both got heads on their shoulders. And so I don't hate the signing, but I'm hoping that they don't have any intention of starting him.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think Belichick could even be bringing him in to kind of bust Stidham's balls a little bit, maybe, just to kind of maybe be like, yeah, we're going to go with Hoyer for right now and light a little fire under Stidham. And, I mean, he knows the offense. He's been here with multiple offensive coordinators and whatever. I think it's more of a competition thing. Next quarterback we're going to talk about, it's pretty unlikely now. I mean, there's some talks of him going to some other places now. But Jameis Winston, I mean, if the price was right, would you guys maybe see Jameis Winston coming up to New England and being in a Pats uni?
I mean, I don't see Jameis Winston as the prototypical Pats quarterback. I think he turns the ball over too much. He's been in some trouble off the field with, stealing the crab legs, the Uber, McDonald's,
catch-up cups, yeah.
At FSU, I mean, the guy just seems to get himself into trouble. Coming off a 30-for-30 season, first ever in NFL history, 30 interceptions. I mean, I don't want that to be the next Patriots quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely not. Like you just said, he seems to be have trouble with making decisions both on and off the field. You're not going to throw 30 interceptions if you're a good decision maker. And that's just something the Patriots specifically don't really tolerate. So I don't see someone who, as Stephen A. Smith said yesterday, could have won Defensive Player of the Year, sticking around with the Patriots or really being an option.
Yeah, I mean, I think another factor is, I mean, maybe if he got his eyes fixed a little bit more. I mean, he's blind. Have you ever seen him at Florida State? He looks over to the sideline and he's like this. I mean, who knows with this guy? But who knows though? If they could hone him in a little bit and make him not as much as a deep ball thrower, because I mean, he was just slinging the ball down in Tampa Bay. He was just throwing bombs. I mean, he resulted in a ton of good plays. He's got great arm strength, but also tons of interceptions and multiple pick sixes. So next guy we're going to move into here, which is creating a lot of buzz now with the Cody Kessler cut. Cam Newton. I mean, could we bring him in for a year for maybe a 7-8 mil? If we can be like, hey, you got to play for your money. Do you want to have a big year here and show what you're worth to the rest of the league and maybe get that big 3-4 year deal for 60 to 80 mil? What are we doing here? He's 31 years old now.
Yeah, I know Cam's got some great talent. He's a generational athlete, but he's clearly a little bit past his prime. You said 7-8 million. I think that might be a little bit too much for him even. I think he's got to prove himself. Last year, he played 1-2 games. But you've seen him in the weight room. He's huge. He looks like a freaking defensive end. But so I like him more than Winston as an option, but it depends on the money, I think. And I think it would only be a short-term thing. But, hey, he might have a couple great years left.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he is maybe the best athlete at the quarterback position we've ever seen in the NFL. I mean, he's a former MVP, former Heisman Trophy winner. So he has shown signs of greatness. I mean, made a Super Bowl. But, I mean, I think he's got a lot to prove. So maybe on a contract year, he comes into New England and maybe has a big year. Who knows? I mean, I'm willing to give Cam a shot just based off pure athleticism and playmaking ability. Maybe he can get back to his old self. Yeah,
I don't hate the idea, actually. I'm not a big Cam Newton guy, but I mean, with the lack of talent, I would say, on offense. I mean, it wouldn't be hurt to bring him in and give him a try, but I'm a pretty big Stidham guy, so I wouldn't mind if we just stuck with Stidham. But yeah, obviously Cam's had some injuries and some, he's a head case off the field and on the field. But he doesn't get as much trouble off the field as like a guy like Jameis or whatever. So yeah, I could potentially see it working. So now we're going to get into some of the quarterbacks the Patriots could potentially draft if they're going to draft one. They got that first round pick at 23, and then they got a bunch of third round picks, fifth round or whatever, then 3 6 and 3 7s. So I mean, could they draft a guy like Jake Fromm or James Morgan, Jacob Eason, someone like that, or someone else you guys see them draft? Maybe like a Jordan Love. What do you guys think?
So out of those guys you just mentioned, I have a preference for Jake Fromm. I think he's probably the best quarterback for the pros because he's just a system quarterback, and honestly the Patriots seem to have a system that works pretty well, so I think he would be a good fit. I think Jordan Love's an interesting thing because he's a big boy, he's got huge hands, he's got some arm strength, but he's another one that struggles with interceptions. Last year I think his TD to interception ratio was like 1, which is horrendous, especially for college. But yeah, so Jake Fromm would be my preference, but hey, there's, like you said, there's a couple options.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Love may be the best athlete at the quarterback position in the draft, maybe outside of Tua. But I like Jake Fromm, too. He comes from Georgia, pro-style offense, big program, blue blood program, and I like quarterbacks from there. I mean, I like the kid Nate Stanley from Iowa. I think he's a prototypical quarterback, good accuracy. Jacob Eason, I mean, the guy's 6'6", 231. An absolute monster from Washington. Again, another pro-style offense. So, I mean, it could be interesting to see who they could take, but Fromm is my preference.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I like some of those guys as well. Another guy that no one's really been mentioning or talking about, which is crazy with some of the stat line he had, is Anthony Gordon out of Washington State. He used to be Minshew's backup. I mean, so this guy played in, I think it was either 13 or 14 games last year. And he threw for 5,600 yards, which would be an NFL record in the regular season. And he did that in 13 or 14 games. He also threw it 689 times, completing 71.6% of his passes. And he also had a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. I mean, he threw 48 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Not great, but with how many times he's thrown, I think that's pretty solid. Also, yeah, I mean, I like that kid James Morgan at first from Florida International, but then I was watching some of his highlight reels a little bit, and his footwork in the pocket's not very good, but he's got a good arm. He's got a decent size, 6'4". Yeah, I like Nate Stanley. Maybe Jalen Hurts slips a little bit, but yeah, I mean, like I was saying earlier, I wouldn't mind just sticking with Stidham, but yeah. Also, let's
Morgan too. Like you said, not very mobile.
Yeah,
but I think he's willing to stay in the pocket, take a hit. He's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd rather them stick with Stidham and maybe use that 23rd pick for a wide receiver on the outside or a pass rusher.
So now we're going to go into the 2021 season. There's a lot of people on social media starting to tweet like #tank for Trevor and all this. I mean, do you guys think that's even a possibility, or what do you guys think about that?
I don't think the Patriots are going to be in a position for the number 1 pick. I mean, we'll get into what we think their record is going to be in a little bit, but I don't see Bill tanking for anybody, honestly. I think there is a lot to prove this year, especially with Brady leaving, that I think Bill is going to go out there and try to win some games. I don't see him intentionally losing. But, yeah, Trevor Lawrence is maybe, as good of a prospect as we've seen at the quarterback position in a little while. I mean, but I just don't see it being an option for the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, I think you basically nailed it again. I don't think, like you said, there's a pride factor for Belichick, McDaniels, and the returning players. They've been brought up in a culture that wins, so for them to take a step that far back and not be at least competitive is just unrealistic to me. So I don't see Trevor Lawrence as a Patriot, although, like you said, he's a great prospect, and I think anyone would welcome him with open arms.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I think that their defense is still too loaded for them to even be anywhere near the top 3 picks or so. I mean, they're not gonna be a 2-14 ball club. Bill Belichick wants to win, especially you're saying like with Brady leaving. I don't see that being a scenario. But there's another scenario that is creating a lot of buzz as well, who is actually the Vegas odds-on favorite to be the Patriots quarterback for 2021, and that is Deshaun Watson. What do you guys think about Deshaun Watson coming to New England?
Mm-hmm. So I'm a big Deshaun Watson guy. I think a lot of people are. The guy's a winner. He won at Clemson, won in high school. But seems like... Sorry?
So he never lost in high school. I mean, yeah,
right.
And didn't lose the first couple of years there either.
And it seems like he's getting a little fed up in Houston, which I can't blame him. I don't know about you guys, but Bill O'Brien is, I don't think, a very good coach, and he's made some borderline crazy decisions. Going back to that playoff game last year, not getting enough value for Hopkins for sure. So you can't really blame a guy like Watson where he's trading away his weapons and kind of just leaving him out on an island by himself. I think the Texans do have the most cap space in the league, so it'll be interesting to see if they do anything with that. But, I'm definitely down for him to be a Patriot, but I think we're just going to have to wait and figure it out and see how this year pans out first.
Yeah, like you said, the guy's a proven winner. Won, arguably the greatest national championship game that we've ever seen, at least, against a really good Alabama team. Like last year in the playoffs against the Bills for 3 quarters, the Bills were the better team. And then Deshaun Watson happened, and he just proved that he was the best player on the field, and he willed himself and his team to a victory. But like you said, they got rid of arguably a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. Jadeveon Clowney, it just doesn't look good over in Houston, and I think he wants out. So, yeah, I think that's about the best option that we can get at quarterback.
Yeah, I love the idea. Honestly, as long as he stays healthy this year, because, he's had a lot of problems with his knees and other things. He was more mobile early on in his career and in college, and he's kind of starting to transition more into moving around in the pocket, maybe getting outside the pocket, rushing for like 20 to 30 yards a game. Doesn't really run downfield too much, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But, I'd be very down to have him on the Patriots. Like you're saying, he's a winner. I think he's a better option than anything we have right now. And I don't think Lawrence is a real option. So, yeah. All right, let's transition to our next topic here. We're going to break down the Bucs and the Pats schedule. First here, we're going to look into the Buccaneers schedule. What do you guys have for predictions for their records for both for the Buccaneers?
I got the Buccaneers right now at 11-5. I think the home schedule is pretty tough against the Packers, Chiefs, Vikings, Saints, Chargers, Falcons, Panthers, and Rams. A lot of good teams in there, a lot of good quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, and Pat Mahomes, obviously, Matt Ryan. But I got them taking care of business at home. I got them 5-3 at home, losing to the Packers, Chiefs, and to the Saints. Away, I think it eases up a little bit away. Got them beating the Bears, Lions, Broncos, Raiders. Got them losing to the Saints and the Falcons away, and beating the Panthers and the Giants.
See, I have a lot of similarities there. I have them going 10-6, though. Like you said, the home schedule is pretty tough. I have them losing the exact same 3 games to the Saints, Chiefs, and Packers. But I have a little bit of difference in the away schedule. I have them losing to the Bears and the Broncos. I think those are 2 tough places to play. Weather's always a factor, and 2 traditionally good defenses. And I have them losing to the Saints on the road, too. I think the Saints are maybe the best roster in the NFL. And I have the Saints sweeping the Bucs.
Yeah, we're all pretty similar on these. I got them at 11-5 as well. I have a little difference in some of the losses and stuff, though. So I have them losing to the Saints twice. I have them losing at home against the Chiefs. Then I have them losing at the Falcons. And then I have one more, it's not really sure exactly which game they're going to lose, but I think they're going to lose one of the games between at the Lions, maybe Matt Patricia. He knows Brady very well. They lost to him in New England last year, the year before that, pretty bad. Also, I have them maybe losing in Denver, tough place to play. Brady's struggled there, altitude. And another game I could see them maybe losing is maybe like the Panthers or Giants, just kind of a letdown game, maybe with a little division game in in Carolina. It's a tough place to get up. But yeah, so let's move on into the Patriots schedule here. I have the Patriots going 7-9. I'll dive more into the schedule after you guys. What do you guys got the Pats at?
I got them at 7-9 as well.
I also am at 7-9. I think they have a pretty tough road schedule. They have to play at Seattle, which is a tough place to play. Go to Los Angeles and play the Rams. Go to the Chiefs and the Texans, the Bills. So I think those are all losses. Their home schedule is not too bad, and traditionally Gillette is a tough place to play. So I think the most interesting game on the schedule would be them versus the Cardinals. Cardinals got some weapons. They're young. I think the Cardinals are going to beat them just because Kyler's dynamic and they got some playmakers. But, yeah, I have them going 9-7, and they have a pretty tough home schedule.
Yeah, I mean, Bills' defense have always traditionally struggled against mobile quarterbacks, which Kyler Murray obviously has proven to be. I got them losing that game as well, and then losing to the 49ers and the Ravens at home. I mean, I could see this as a slight down year for the Patriots, kind of some question marks at quarterback, obviously, and losing some guys on the defensive end. But I think Bill's got a lot to prove and may surprise us.
Yeah, so I have the Patriots 7-9, same as you guys. I mean, I think that's just kind of a common consensus with a lot of people. So I have them beating the Jets twice. I have them beating the Dolphins at home in a close one. I also have them beating the Broncos and the Raiders at home. And then I have them stealing one at the Texans. And then I have them beating the Chargers as well. Those 2 road wins. So those are my 7 wins for them. I could also see that if they don't win the Texans game, I could see them maybe stealing the one in Seattle or the one in LA against the Rams potentially. But so also sticking with the Bucs and Pats topic here. Brady versus Belichick over the next 2 years. Who do you think's going to win this little divorce battle here over the next 2 years?
I think initially Brady's got the better roster down in Tampa. I think he will end up with a better record this year, but it will be interesting to see when he comes back home because, like we said earlier, 2021, maybe Deshaun Watson's that quarterback for the Patriots. I think that gives Bill a little bit of time to plan, and I think he definitely has something to prove against Brady. A little bad blood there. I see him losing in New England his first game back, but I do see him having more success down in Tampa than Bill will have for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I think this is a tough question because time is a huge factor in this. Brady, no matter what anyone thinks, can't play forever. Belichick can coach for really however long he wants. So I think it's tough to say how one wins and one doesn't unless there's a Super Bowl, which I don't know about you guys. I don't see happening for either team this year. But as for the game next year, yeah, it should be a big one. And it's a long way away. Deshaun Watson could be there, yeah. But I think Brady's definitely going to get up for that game. Belichick's going to get up for that game. But if I had to pick right now, I would say that Belichick would win that game too. But, again, I think there's a lot of factors in this.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you guys were saying, I think the first year, I think Brady definitely has a way more dynamic offense. Their defense is a little aged. They have Shaquille Barrett. Their secondary is absolutely trash. And then they also have Ndamukong Suh, which also, I don't really know how Brady's going to fit into this culture there. I don't know how much he's going to love it down in Tampa because, obviously the Patriots had the system and everything and the Patriots way and everyone was bought in and working. I just don't really see guys like Mike Evans or Ndamukong Suh really busting their balls too much. But yeah, I think Bill, depending on the whole Deshaun Watson or with the quarterback position for 2021, I think they might be able to have a little bit more success and be more similar towards them. But yeah, the ticket prices for that when Brady returns in 2021 to Gillette are going to be off the charts. Cheapest ticket's probably going to be around $400. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the fans will show out.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see the cheers and who's booing and what. Yeah. And it's mostly going to be cheers, but it's going to be interesting to see how they root for when Brady scores a touchdown or what like that. Right.
Yeah, I think cheers before the game, but once the game starts, we all know New England fans, and it doesn't matter who's in the jersey. Mm-hmm. We're going to give it to you.
Yep. So one last point I want to touch on this topic here is, are you guys rooting for Tom Brady? I mean, what's like this year? How good do you guys want him to do? I mean, personally, I think he's kind of doing this more for like a statistical thing. He's got the rings, and he still wants to maybe try to get ahead of Drew Brees in the touchdowns and try to get up there more in yards past Peyton and them. I mean, I want to see him do good. I don't want to see him win a Super Bowl. I don't want to see him get to the Super Bowl and lose. So I mean, personally, I want him to get to the playoffs, maybe win a game and then lose. But yeah, how are you guys doing about this with Brady?
You see, I differ a little bit. I'm definitely rooting for him. I think that there's no other team in the NFC I'd rather see in the Super Bowl than them, just because Brady's our guy. So I'm definitely rooting for him. If it comes to Pats versus the Bucs in the Super Bowl, I would root for the Pats. But no, I wish him all the best, and I think that you can't really blame him for what he did. He kind of got dicked around a little bit, but yeah, no, I can't blame him, and I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm rooting for him. I'm not, I don't want to see him win a Super Bowl, like you said, Maloney. I think that'll leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth. But yeah, I'm rooting for him to have a good year for sure.
All right, let's just transition into our third topic here. Who needs to step up for the Patriots? So the Patriots, so they lost 10 guys this offseason. Brady being one of them. Another one being Gostowski, who's the all-time leading scorer for the Patriots. He's still actually a free agent. He's not retired yet or anything. Another player being Philip Dorsett, who's shown some good talent over the years, but hasn't really put up crazy numbers. He went to Seattle. And then the other 7 players, ironically enough, the other teams they've gone to have been coached by Brian Flores, Matt Patricia, and Joe Judge. 3 of them going to Miami, being Kyle Van Noy, Landon Roberts, and Ted Karras. And then for Detroit, with Patricia, you got Daron Harmon, Jamie Collins, and Danny Shelton, all 3 defensive players who Patricia used to coach here in New England. And then you got Ebner going to Joe Judge, who is the rugby guy and the special teams guy. And, of course, Joe Judge being the old Pat special teams coach and quarterbacks coach. There's really not much surprise there with him taking him there. So who do you guys think really needs to step up this year for the Patriots?
I mean, I think initially you look at it and they lost their top 2 sacks leaders from that boogeyman defense last year in Collins and Van Noy. And I see Bill going in that direction in the drafting pass rush. I think there's question marks all over the field, especially wide receiver, quarterback, obviously. But I think Edelman does need to step up and be the leader and be one of those top wide receivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I know the strong part of our team is probably still the secondary. It's tough to expect as much as they did last year, just because Gilmore was the best defensive player in the league. Everyone had a great year. But I think we need similar production out of them. And then I think the biggest question mark on the team is the tight end wide receiver position, which we don't have size. We don't really have anyone that's proven themselves. So I don't know. I don't think the tight ends in the draft I don't think there's a lot of them, but there's definitely some wide receivers. A couple of names that stick out are Jefferson from LSU, who could, if he was around at 23, I could definitely see him getting taken by the Pats. And Higgins from Clemson is another great talent that if he slips that low, then I don't see the Pats passing up on him.
Yeah, so let's dive in here to a little bit more like position by position here. So yeah, obviously we're saying that the secondary is still elite. You know, they got Gilmore, J.C. Jackson coming off a phenomenal year, who statistically wasn't even much worse than Gilmore. Then we got Jason McCourty and Devin McCourty re-signing. And then we got Chung. So you got McCourty and Chung still as the safeties here. A lot of people are talking about that kid Xavier McKinney from Alabama, the safety, the Patriots are going to draft. But I don't really think that's going to be necessary this year. But yeah, we're talking about the tight end void. I mean, we used to have guys like Gronk and Hernandez or Martellus Bennett. And then now we got Ryan Izzo and Matt Lacoste. I mean, what have they done? They've probably combined for like 400, 500 yards over the last 2 or 3 years. But yeah, another interesting. Speaking of tight ends, I like this kid Bryson Hopkins out of Purdue. He's a pretty big tight end. I think he's like 6'5", 255. His dad played in the NFL as an offensive lineman. He's got good hands, runs good routes, good blocker. I think he's kind of like a Gronk. Obviously, he's not going to be as electric as Gronk and all that, but I think he's a pretty solid comparison to him. Another position that has a big hole for the Patriots is the kicker. So obviously we had Mike Nugent, we had Nick Folk and all this. Nick Folk had injuries, he had the surgery. They're talking about potentially maybe bringing him back, but they could also maybe draft a kicker. You got that kid, Rodrigo Blankenship out of Georgia with the goggles, 99. And he's a great kicker. I mean, I think he had his long in college was either 55, somewhere 55, 57. I mean, he's a good kicker. And then you got two other prospects, a kid from Georgia Southern, I think his name's like Ryan Bass or something like that, and then another kid from Utah State. But also, let's talk about the offensive line here a little bit. You got a couple of guys returning here, Andrews being healthy. What do you guys think about the offensive line this year?
I think this is an area that we aren't too concerned about. Shout out Joe Coot, first of all, big offensive line guy.
Big O-line guy.
We have a guy that you can start at all positions. We got some guys coming back from injury, which isn't ideal, but I think that between the five guys we have up there, Wynn, Cannon, Tooney, couple, I can't remember the other two names, but I think that's an area that we don't need to improve on immediately. I think we're going to be all right there.
I mean, I agree that it's not the number one concern, but last year, not great at the offensive line. But just going back for 1 second, the kid we didn't mention was Thaddeus Moss out of LSU at the tight end position. I don't know where they have him projected right now, maybe third, fourth round, but like you were saying, Maloney, I think his name obviously will shoot him up the draft boards. And he had a monster college football playoff, the son of Randy Moss, obviously. Would love to see him in a Patriots jersey, too.
Yeah, I've seen a couple projections where they have him at like 6th or 7th, and I don't really see where that is for the in the tight end depth. I think he's definitely going to be more like a late 2nd round, early 3rd round. But going back to the offensive line, I think the left side's all set. You got Tooney at left guard, Isaiah Wynn at left tackle, and then we got Pro Bowler and Andrews coming back at center. And then we're probably most likely going to have Shaq Mason at right guard, which I'm a little skeptical of. And then who I really don't like is Cannon at right tackle. I mean, I hope he was just injured towards the end of last year, because towards the end of last year there were some times where DNs really just running around him and he wouldn't even get an arm on him. Hopefully he was just injured. He's a little sporadic. I'm a little worried about him.
And before you keep going, Matt, talking about kickers, I don't know about you guys, but they kind of annoyed me last year in the sense that games were being decided by them. I know personally I lost a lot of money. The Chargers kicker specifically, fuck him. So I'm a little skeptical on drafting a kicker just because I think it's a job that you should be able to find someone to do, and I think we have a lot of other needs. But hey, if Goggles is available in the 7th round, I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely agree. I mean, that kid did have a great college career. And like you said, I mean, you got to be able to find somebody to do that, not necessarily through the draft. I mean, we had that kid, Roberto Aguayo from FSU, that I think was drafted in the 1st round, right? Didn't miss at FSU. He came to the NFL, and the lights were a little too bright. And I don't even know if he's on a team anymore.
Speaking of that, actually, I'll go off topic a little bit. Did you guys see his younger brother at Florida State? He ends up ripping up and killing a turtle in a frat house. His name was Turntle.
I did see that. I didn't know that was Aguayo's brother.
Yeah. Roberto and Ricky Aguayo are the two. That was making headlines a couple of weeks ago.
State?
Huh?
Does he kick at Florida State, the brother?
Yeah, I don't know if he's still there, but I heard something about it the other day when I was listening to part of my take, and I thought it was a funny thing to chime in there.
For sure.
Also, another big person we have coming back this year who was injured for a lot last year is James Devlin. He's a great blocker for the run game. Obviously, we have a big option of running backs. Most of them are pretty small, though. I mean, you got White, Burkhead. You got the kid from Alabama. Forgetting someone else here. Michelle. So hopefully he can help open up the run game again with some of his blocking. One last position I want to talk on here before we dive into another piece of this is the wide receiver core. So we got Edelman, N'Keal Harry, Jacoby Myers, Gunnar Olszewski, who I actually really liked a lot in the preseason last year in the first couple of weeks before he got injured, And then Sanu, who's kind of a wild card here. I mean, we thought he was going to be a lot better when we picked him up mid-season last year. How do you guys feel about the wide receiver core, and how do you guys think that Edelman's going to be this year without Brady? And it also kind of brings a new debate about Wes Welker versus Edelman. We're going to see how Edelman does this year, but obviously Wes Welker, he had that one season without Brady with Castle, but that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little unpopular opinion here, but I think Edelman is going to struggle without Tom Brady. Who was it? Was it Adam Schefter? Oh, no, I think it was Bill Simmons, I heard this morning, that tweeted out that he may be traded to the Detroit Lions. I think he said that yesterday. I mean, yesterday was April Fool's.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, who knows?
But, I mean, kind of interesting. And, without, Tom Brady, who is Edelman's guy, is Edelman going to show up and, be that leader and bring the energy that he did every day with Brady here? I mean, I think that's going to be interesting to see. But I think the real wild card is N'Keal Harry. I mean, we used the first-round pick on him last year. You spend a first-round pick on a wide receiver, you got to expect him to be a 1-2 type of guy. I think he needs to take a huge step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I'm a little bit optimistic about the wide receiver position. I'm a bigger Edelman guy than you, so I think he's still going to get up for every game. I think he is a pretty good leader. I think mainly learned that from Tom Brady, but I think he's going to bring it. And I'm a big N'Keal Harry fan. I think that at times he looked like a deer caught in the headlights, but he's got some raw talent that I'm hoping we can turn into something. And I think that the 23rd pick should be used on probably a wide receiver or a tight end. I know a tight end's probably not an option. So say if we get a guy like Jefferson, I think that gives us 3 solid wide receivers. And if you're starting a guy like Stidham, you want to give him some weapons to fall back on. So I'm hoping that's going to work out.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Also, I think with some of these young guys, there was a lot of pressure on them playing with the greatest quarterback of all time, and they didn't want to drop the ball. I mean, obviously, they led the league last year in drops and separation from defenders. But, actually, they're worse in the league in separation from the defenders. But, I really like this kid, Gunnar Olszewski. He really shocked me in the preseason last year. But, I think there'll be a little less pressure on him. Obviously, Harry, we've seen some of his crazy catches at Arizona State, and even some of them last year. Some of his footwork was a little sloppy, but, I think a lot of these guys can step up. The last point I want to touch on here before we move on is do you guys think there's a leadership void this year with Tom Brady leaving?
I think we're going to be all right. I know we talked about this a lot yesterday, but I think Matthew Slater is the best special teams player in the league. I think that's tough to argue at this point.
Maybe the GOAT, him and Devin Hester, special teams. Yeah. Those are the 2 of the best.
So he's been captain for a while, and I think we're going to be all right there. And then on the defensive side, we got McCourty and Hightower, who longtime Patriots. So I think we'll be okay in terms of leadership. Obviously, it's tough when you lose a quarterback because that's where you want your leadership coming from. But I think we have places we can make up for it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Matthew Slater, who's been a leader here for a while now, on the defensive end, we got leaders. And, we did lose the main leader. I think Edelman has to step up as a true leader. But, my opinion on it is we still got the leader in Bill Belichick, and it's still his system. So I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, so I agree. I think Slater can be a good leader. He'll continue to lead. I mean, he runs that whole thing in the locker room after the game where he's like, "How do we feel?" And all that, and then they go, "Oh yeah." I think they'll be fine. And then obviously McCourty coming back. He's long tenured here. I think he's been here for almost like 12 years now or something. Then obviously Edelman, and then Hightower. I mean, he's not like been here for a long time, but I think he's very vocal with leading the defense and everything. I think he can be a good leader. Okay, so yes, let's transition into our last agenda topic here with UFC 249. Flabo, you want to take the helm here?
Yeah, I'm filling in for our boy Bubba, who decided not to show up, but
the Papagenos guy was here at the door. He would show up,
Yeah, but we're gonna keep going. The show goes on. So I don't know how much you guys know about UFC 249. It was supposed to take place April 18th at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, but sadly the coronavirus.
16th.
Sorry?
16th, I think.
16th?
Yeah.
Okay. But Yeah, it's 18th. But
it's 18th. Oh, my bad.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in New York right now, so that's definitely out of the realm of possibility. So it was supposed to be Khabib versus Ferguson was a headline fight, which has been headlined since actually 2015. It's got canceled 5 times. So it's kind of wondering, is this going to happen? Is it ever going to happen? But so what happened was Khabib was in California training for the fight, where he was informed that there was 100% chance it wasn't going to take place in the United States because of all the stuff going on. So he went to the United Arab Emirates, where he was also told that there was a 95% chance it was going to happen there. He claims once he got there that they had to close the borders, so he flew back to Russia, where he's from, and he's currently stuck there. There's a little bit of discrepancy. Is Khabib scared because you can get out of Russia if you really want to? But it's tough to think that the guy is 28-0 and used to wrestle bears is scared. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, Khabib released a statement saying that, all the biggest countries and all the biggest companies in the world right now are shutting down, and how can you expect, me to go and fight? And, I do agree with that, but, I mean, this fight has been canceled 5 times. Like, this is the fight that you want to see, but, I mean, I don't personally see UFC 249 happening on April 18th. They don't have a venue, and it's going to be tough to find a fighter to train and be prepared in 2 weeks. I would love to see Jorge Masvidal coming off arguably Fighter of the Year. 2 huge wins, the quickest knockout in UFC history with Ben Askren and beating Nate Diaz. But I don't see this fight happening. I think that they should postpone it and make sure that Khabib and Tony happens at some point.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. Obviously, there's some talks about should Khabib have to give up his title for all this, and I think that's a little across the line. But yeah, definitely, I think Masvidal could be a guy who you could, on 2-week notice or whatever, just be like, hey, are you ready to go? I mean, he's nuts. I mean, he can take a lot and give a lot. I think he's a guy who could maybe potentially be ready, but yeah, I mean, this whole thing's up in the air right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, is Dana White, he's insisting on getting this fight done, but like you guys said, he doesn't have a venue. It seems like there's bigger things to worry about right now with the state of the whole world, so he might need to tone it back a couple notches. But just real quick, I know I need to mention this. Is there a shot McGregor's ready to go? I mean, he's a nut. He can cut some weight, and he'll sell some tickets, and I don't think he would even care if he was to lose a fight, just because he would make some money. And but what do you guys think about that, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's only 2 weeks away. I think, what does he have to cut? Maybe 20 pounds?
Yeah, he fought last at 170.
You never know with these fighters, though. I mean, they can... dehydration, they can lose a lot of weight quick.
I think that he could do it, absolutely. But again, I mean, is it realistic for that to happen in 2 weeks?
Right. And it seems like is it worth it even at this point with the state? I mean...
Exactly. I mean...
Joe Rogan made it clear that he wasn't going to be commentating this, and there was going to be, I think, top 10 people in the arena, so... Is it even going to be the same type of thing?
Yeah, it's not.
I watch the fights with no fans, and it's a little different. Obviously, just not as electric without fans. But, I mean, I respect Dana White's, persistence on trying to get this done, because right now, what else do we have to watch? There's no sports.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it could happen, I would, be down for sure. But I just don't see it as being very realistic right now.
Yeah, also, the one thing about Khabib with the whole, people could get out of Russia and stuff like that. I know a lot of NHL players have talked about the, credit card that Putin has for a lot of these players and everything, the black card. So I think he could definitely, if he wanted it to really happen, I think he could definitely make it happen.
Right. And it's a question of, is he scared, or is he just being the one that's using his brain and saying that this is not the time or the place for this to happen?
Yeah.
That's the direction I'm leaning towards.
Absolutely.
But going back to what you said, Maloney, about stripping the title, I don't see that happening. I don't think that's necessary. Khabib, probably the best ever at his weight class, and due to the circumstances, going on right now, I just don't see them stripping him of his title.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, yeah, I think that's about all we have today on the topics and everything. So thank you all for tuning in to our first episode. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe. That's the biggest thing for us. Make sure to like and comment as well. Follow us on Twitter at TheWickedSport1. And make sure to follow our Facebook page at Supah Sobah Sports. Shouldn't be too hard to find. Also, feel free, and we encourage you to send in debates, points for discussion, questions, or anything to talk about. It can be sports related, non-sports related. You can send them in. You can message us at our Facebook page, or you can email us at supahsobahsports@gmail.com. Do you guys got anything else to add before we end this thing?
No, like you said, we're open to suggestions, comments, but yeah, we're going to do this for the time being, and sports are a little bit down, so yeah, let us know. We'll talk about whatever you guys want.
Yeah, exactly. Send in your questions, debates, and, we're welcome to special guests too. So, if you have a debate and you want to come on here and talk with us, then we're open for that. Just let us know.
Yeah, so we've gotten some requests. I know we've talked about this a little bit. I think we have like 3 or 4 people ask to come on already. So yeah, we have like about 4 episodes we have plans, and then after that, I mean, things can change, but we are planning on start bringing some guests on. But yeah, thank you for watching today, and just keep following us, and thank you for the support.
Spread the word.
Absolutely. Let's rock. Have a good one, people.
All right, thanks, guys.